Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have had an incredible outpouring of feedback in terms of videos that you guys would love to see, and that includes things that I've seen working as a nurse. There's all kind of crazy stuff. There's no shortage of stories there, so that's definitely a possibility. Another one is how do I manage as a solo female traveler, and I thought that's a really good one, along with some tips and tricks on RV living and things that I've learned in the last 2 years. So this video, I decided I'm going to do the solo female travel. Maybe some of this information will be helpful to you if you're thinking about setting off on a journey of your own. So stay tuned. First things first, a tour of my rig. It is a 2018 Heartland North Trail Ultralight that I tow with a 2022 Dodge Ram 2500 Power Wagon. The outdoor party center has a sink, retractable counter, cable hookup, and plug sockets. So, interior 22-foot RBK rear bath kitchen means it has 22 interior feet of living space. It's 26 feet total from hitch to bumper. This is the queen size RV bed, which means it's queen size in width but a little bit shorter. Got a little space for storage on either side and plenty of overhead storage there. The one slide out is the dinette that you can see here, and it actually becomes a bed as well. There's a little bit of a glare, so it's kind of hard to see. Turn on a little bit of light, that might help a bit. Entertainment center here. It's got a DVD player and auxiliary, and it does all that kind of stuff. And of course, this is Virgil's little nook and cranny as well, where he hangs out. Got my coffee bar, gotta have that. Overhead storage in the dinette area. Yes, I keep this on because Virgil thinks it's fun to try and hang off of that. Kind of uncool. Got the kitchen over this way. Really cute. Some little storage down there. Sorry, the glare is kind of bad. Got a nice deep double sink. A 3-burner stove, and it has this glass top which opens up more counter space. I really like that. Got a little oven underneath, microwave, we've got a freezer and a refrigerator. We've got, of course, more storage this way. And the bathroom. Got the foot pedal toilet, little vanity, plenty of storage over on this side. It's all full of stuff, so I'm going to open it. And then a full glass shower, which is really nice. It's a nice change. My previous RV shower was pretty small. So kind of a nice skylight and whatnot in here. And then of course some more storage on this side as well. So that is it. So one of the first things when I started travel nursing is I had an older Jayco camper, and I just decided to use that to start. And it was like a 1992 or something model. It was immaculately kept. I did have to still end up doing repairs on it. So one of the first things I really recommend if you are traveling solo, male or female, is learn how to be as self-sufficient as possible. And I think that is an incredible quality to take all the way through life. That is a skill that will never fail. You might be out on the side of a highway or an interstate somewhere with a flat tire, and if you don't know how to change a flat, you might be waiting a very long time in potentially inclement weather for somebody to come along. And there might be circumstances where people might not ever come along. You might be in a situation where you need to take care of something really quickly. So learn how to do things on your own if you can. I use YouTube incessantly for that. I follow a lot of RV channels and highly recommend. They're a wealth of information. You can Google just about anything and get instructions on how to do it. That said, I would just exercise a little caution in what you're comfortable doing. Things that I'm not able to do on my own is when I actually call in the professionals. And also, you may want to check if you have a brand new rig that's under warranty. Doing some of the work yourself or not taking it to an authorized dealer, especially if you're on the road, could actually void your warranty. So make sure that you look into that, because that's really important too. Otherwise, try and do what you can, be self-sufficient. Even if you have a new RV, anybody will tell you, and by RV I mean all the classes, Class A, travel trailers, the whole 9 yards, it will still break. It rumbles down the highway, things are going to come loose, things are going to break on it, it will pop a leak at some point, it will do this, that, or the other. Just be prepared for it. Know that it's going to happen. It doesn't matter how new that rig is. It will happen eventually. So just consider that as part of the journey. How do I plan my travel days? When I know I'm taking a contract somewhere and I've agreed upon it, I will first of all line up an RV park. I do not sign a contract as a travel nurse unless I know I have a place to stay, because, you know, I invested in my RV and my new truck to be able to continue doing that. So that's really important. And once I've cemented that, then I kind of look at my total distance. I tend to like to stay within a certain number of hours of driving or a certain number of miles every single day. I like to end up wherever it is I'm going for the day in daylight, because nothing is worse than trying to set up or navigate in the cold, in the dark, trying to find that errant piece of equipment that you need, or your leveling jacks or whatever. So I always try to make sure that I have enough time to get where I'm going in daylight and at least get kind of partially set up. And then that way I can also enjoy that location at least a little bit. And if that's sitting outside with a glass of wine or doing some sightseeing, or if it's a Harvest Host location, then participating in whatever the services are that that host is offering. I like to make sure that I get there in daylight and not max myself out on driving. That can be really exhausting, and even if you do drive throughout the day, make sure you're stopping periodically to let your pets go to the bathroom and get some water if you're traveling with pets, refilling on gas, and also to kind of break up the monotony of highway driving. While I'm planning out my route, I kind of look at the destinations that I'm getting to based on the distance or hours traveled on any given day and break it up as evenly as possible. And that way I kind of then can triangulate in that area where I'm headed to, what are my options. I don't mind boondocking. I enjoy it. That's why I really like Boondockers Welcome and Harvest Host. But after so many days, I really like lining up an actual RV park where I have full access to electric hookups, because I currently do not have a generator, but I'm thinking about investing in one of those. And I also like being able to take a full out shower rather than like a quick kind of bath that I would do if I'm actually boondocking or in transit. And then this way, it's just overnighting. If I'm just doing that at an RV park in the middle of a long drive across the country, I don't do full hookups. I might just do my electrical and then use their facilities for showering, you know, brushing teeth, whatever, things like that while it's available. Do I use truck stops? I have. I stayed at Cruel Jack's in Rock Springs, Wyoming on one of my first trips to Spokane, and I have nothing bad to say about truck stops. I felt safe. It was right off the interstate, so it was very noisy. It was right under the lights, but that also provides a lot of security because the area is very well lit. There were state troopers who were parked out off and on throughout the night, so there's kind of like some security element going on there. The bathrooms were super clean. Never once did I feel like I was in danger. The people were polite. They had like a little pizza kind of mini parlor in there as well, and it, you know, the array of things that you would find at a travel center. And increasing truck stops are actually designating spots for RVers now. So if they don't have designated RV spots, a really good rule of thumb is to try and stay out of truck places or spots. If you can, keep those open for the truckers. You know, ask them, is there a particular place you would like me to park, or something to that effect. And that way, you know, you're keeping those spaces open for those truckers who really need that sleep and then have to get back on the road. My itinerary. I absolutely share my itinerary with family and or friends so they know where I'm going to be on any given day, address information if I have it, if they need to get in touch. So if something, God forbid, should happen, at least they have an idea of where to start looking, or where I'm going, or where I should end up. So general roadworthy tips: make sure that your towing vehicle is being maintained regularly, getting its oil changes, the tires are being rotated, that kind of thing. Make sure it's the same for your rig. Make sure the tires are still good on your RV or travel trailer, or Class A, whatever it is you're driving. Make sure that all of your lights are in working condition, that you have fuel. Hard lesson learned, I came really close, and I talked about this in the very first video I did, is I really do not go past a half tank to a quarter of a tank at the absolute lowest before stopping for fuel. You never know how many miles of stretch you may be driving before you come across another fuel station. Sometimes it'll tell you, 40 miles to the next stop or something to that effect. Definitely make sure you have fuel, even if you don't think you're going to need it. Once I sort of hit the halfway point on my tank and get a little bit below that, then I stop anyway and top off. If you're hitting weather such as really high gusts of wind, that's going to take the fuel consumption to a whole different level anyway, and you just don't want to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere, especially again in inclement weather with no gas. It's going to be a really long walk, and that's if somebody doesn't stop and offer to help. Just avoid that situation altogether. Be prepared. Depending on where you are in the country, such as driving in New York and parts of the Northeast, it's a good idea to have a trucker app, or at least an app that's specific for RVers. New York City, for example, you can't take any trailers or commercial vehicles on the parkways. You have to use the expressways. You can't go in certain tunnels or areas. Your LP tanks are considered hazardous material, things like that. So just know that you have restrictions depending on where you're driving. So it's a really good idea to have an app that's specifically for either truckers or RVers. That'll kind of at least give you a general idea of where you can go safely and not get into trouble with the law in each respective state. Don't speed. I do not drive faster than 65, 66, maybe 67 miles an hour tops when I'm towing. Reason being, you have an increased reaction time. If something were to happen ahead of you, you have all the more time to be able to stop and react and at least avert getting yourself entangled in a potential wreck up ahead. Also, it prevents overheating of your tires. I think going slower actually reduces the risk of your tires overheating and getting a blowout, which you really don't want to do at high speeds. I have had a blowout at high speeds with a horse trailer. That was absolutely terrible. So keep it slow anyway. And in addition, fuel consumption. The slower you go, the better gas mileage you're going to get. Truthfully, you're not going to get there that much faster doing 72 versus 65. Maybe 15, 20 minutes tops. It's just not worth it. Go a little bit slower. You'll still get there, and it'll be a lot safer. Use some common sense. I travel by myself. I do not own any guns. Don't pull off in a place that's kind of maybe a little bit questionable. Make sure you stay in a more widely traversed area, maybe where there's brighter lights. I think a little bit of common sense goes a long way. Some other things that are really helpful: at least a basic toolkit, and that includes a tire iron, preferably the kind of cross-shaped ones that have all the different sizes of sockets for lug nuts on them. Also, I highly recommend an air compressor. You can buy the really small ones at like auto shops or whatever, auto parts stores. You don't have to have a giant one, but an air compressor will also go a long way. I'm going to say this again. If you follow my channel, you know that I absolutely love Harvest Host, and I use them quite a bit. So you're actually able to chart out your path or your trajectory if you want to, your travel destination, and you can find Harvest Host locations as you're passing through based on your route. And it could be anything from private residences, which is the boondockers welcome aspect of it. So basically, these are private individuals. Usually they're also RVers as well, who are willing to provide a place on their property for you to overnight. And it's an alternative to like a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel, but I'm not going to dig on either of those, and I absolutely love a Cracker Barrel, so really good place to overnight if you need to and have an amazing breakfast the next morning. But this is an alternative to that. Harvest Host Boondockers Welcome is a paid membership, but it's really affordable. I think it's like $169 a year for the two of them, and you can actually select what grade of package you want. If you're a golfer, you can actually upgrade, I think for another $10 or so more per year. Includes all the golf courses that are in the membership program where you can overnight at a golf course. I'm not a golfer, so that didn't appeal to me, but I definitely do the Boondockers Welcome and Harvest Hosts. Harvest Hosts being commercial businesses or churches or nonprofits, breweries, museums, wineries. If you've seen my videos, you see the Harvest Host locations that I love to frequent and all the really cool things that I would not know existed to see and do in America if it was not for this program. So it adds a really cool dimension to travel if you're driving across the country. Very much recommend. I cannot say enough good things about Harvest Host. I've never had a bad experience, and there is a feedback in place that you can review your hosts, and they also have the ability to review you as a guest as well. So you are staying on people's property, whether it's a business or private individual. So just keep that in mind and be respectful. Follow the rules and the instructions and guidelines that they have, and it could be one of the most interesting things that you do in various places that are offered to you for your trip. Planning expenses accordingly. Gas, of course, is really expensive right now, so it helps to have a buffer in your savings or in your account, because you're going to at least need it for fuel consumption and any kind of travel expenses, such as staying at overnight in an RV park, or if you do take advantage of like a Harvest Host location, it's free. But the trade-off is it's kind of recommended that you go and patronize the business in some way, shape, or form. Additionally, you know, if something happens, I have had not a blowout, but I have had a flat tire en route passing through Ohio and needed to get a tire urgently the next morning so I could continue on to Vermont. So having a little bit of funds, make sure that you plan accordingly for that. You just don't know what's going to happen on the road. I found that if my GPS tells me it's going to be a 5-hour trip, to add at least 1 hour to that, to include your fuel stops, your bathroom breaks, things like that. I've stayed at a lot of different RV parks in the last few years traveling, and I've had mostly good experiences in all of them. And there's a lot of different kinds too. I've stayed in both the urban parks, which were more in the cities. They're very close, like knit in terms of being tight packed. It's like not a lot of space to spread out. And I've stayed in more rural locations where I had a ton of room to spread out and could keep my awning open the whole time I was there and set up my furniture, and it was just more space than I would ever need. So there's a lot of different parks, a lot of different setups that you might encounter. If you're traveling with pets, a really good idea, especially if you're staying at a park, at least I do, is I have an extra set of keys for my RV that I carry with me. And I will actually turn that into the park owners or management and just kind of ask them, because I have my cat, that God forbid, in the event anything were to happen, please just get my cat out of the RV. Or if they need to get in there for whatever reason, then they have the ability to do it. Use a lot of damp rid, especially if you are in your RV for the winter. You're going to get a lot of condensation, a lot of moisture. Water moisture is the enemy of RVs. If you're traveling in an RV and you're staying in RV parks, at least familiarize yourself with some of the basic courtesies of campgrounds. Campground etiquette is what it's called. There are things that you just don't want to do. You want to be a polite neighbor. Usually parks have hours in terms of quiet time, so be mindful of that. Please pick up after your pet. That's another huge one. Don't walk through somebody else's site. Do not like put your sewer hose all over communal picnic tables and things like that. That's just disgusting. A lot of parks have a very strict speed limit, so do be mindful of speed limits. Be very careful. Remember to keep up on your insurance and registration for your vehicles. If you're traveling with pets, have all of your immunization and health records on hand, at least copies of them. So I think that's it for now. If you could think of anything that I didn't address that you would like to know, please leave it in the comments section. Hopefully you found this video helpful, especially if you're thinking about hitting the road in 2024. I think there's amazing things to see in each state. Any feedback that you have, please leave in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you like this content, and I'll see you on the next one.